Welcome to Dice and Mind, a podcast hosted by Brad Brown and Jason Kaufman to explore the intersection of life, games, science, music, philosophy, and creativity through interviews with leading creatives. All are welcome in this space.
We've had an opportunity to speak to obviously many writers and RPG writers who have written for multiple what's
Franchises,
franchises.
lines,
Thank
all
you.
over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And tonight is no exception
Although
to that.
tonight's guest is writing for one of the very newest RPGs out there that's not even out yet.
That's what and that is what is going to make this one a little unique. And
Yeah.
not only that, we come to find out that, um, you know, we thought this would be our first time meeting him. For me, it was not.
That was
Um,
pretty funny.
yeah, and so you'll hear that more in this in the conversation we're going to have with Meric Moir here shortly.
Hmm.
But um, many thanks to Al Spader for putting us in touch with Meric
Thank you,
because
Al.
it was a it's going to be a great conversation, um, talking about not only Trek and modern age Green
Oh,
Ronin.
I mean, so many things. He's touched a lot of our favorite lines at this point.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, he literally you draw a line through them.
Yeah, yeah, literally. And he is the book lead now for the up and coming Cosmere, which is of course what made us especially want to reach out to Merrick because you and we've been talking about Cosmere and Brandon Sanderson novels for a while on the podcast now.
Yeah, how'd you like my emails and everything this weekend? I got a little bit down the rabbit hole with in the Sanderson verse with
Well, thank you, because with you using good prompt engineering with what do you use, Gemini?
yeah, I was using
Yep.
Gemini to kind of dig
Uh,
into the Cosmere verse
yeah, now I don't have to read any of the sequels because I now have read the tight synopses
yeah.
of each one. But seriously, you and I both have been really intrigued by the up and coming Cosmere game line. This
Yes.
this quote living RPG, which really does attract me. And we do talk about this in the interview, but I think before we get there, it's worth talking just the two of us for a sec. You and I guess a little bit online, but certainly offline after this past winter break when I came back from our trip and told you, hey, I read this book called Mistborn, and apparently it's a very well-known author that we don't know about.
Mhm.
And it was really interesting because it's hard magic. So think hard sci-fi, but it's magic. It's an almost scientific approach to magic. And I have to say, it's very compelling.
I had to, I'll be very transparent. This idea of hard magic, you talked about it multiple times. We've talked about it, I think, briefly in past episodes with folks. It was a concept that eluded me a bit. So that was one of the things I researched this weekend. I wanted to
Yeah.
get kind of a better understanding of what it was. And the further down the rabbit hole I went on it, the more I was fascinated by it. Um, this idea and I hate to say it, the more I would love to integrate that into um
Star Trek.
no,
I'm kidding.
yeah, but no, but into like the GURPS verse I'm building. Just the idea
Oh, cool. Yeah.
if I were to introduce magic, because let's be honest, I mean, we tend to play more sci-fi than anything. So
Well,
we haven't neither of us have done much in the way of GMing, DMing magic. Um,
not beyond like jamming for like level one casters.
yeah,
Yeah, right, where it's basically
but
cantrips and magic missiles.
or and the close and obviously psionics type of stuff is interest us, and
Yep.
that's kind of like
Yeah. But that's just
that's like adjacent a little
yeah, it's
bit.
got a magic gloss over it, but it's
Yeah,
still not
it's not.
magic. This is different though.
This is different, and I just the idea behind it and what ultimately happened is if I could mind map what my research spikes were this weekend in terms of the directions I was going, if you could
Oh,
look
you
at
should
that
probably
from
just
a
mute. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
oh, okay, sorry, I
The
thought I
look
did.
on your face, like, oh no, what happened?
Well, yeah, I was like, I didn't do anything,
Oh,
did I?
priceless, priceless.
Um, no, but it would show I went far down this idea of hard magic. Um,
Yeah,
because it's a really interesting, and then we got to go to the interview, but I
yeah,
this will be a topic we could bring
yeah.
up again.
I'm sure will be.
I think the idea of hard magic could be something that we could get behind in terms of utilizing magic
Yeah,
in
yeah.
in game in places where
Where we wouldn't otherwise.
yes.
Yeah, where we wouldn't be comfortable magicking, as it were. Just for clarification, we are assuming everyone's familiar with this concept, but of course we weren't. But hard magic, think of magic akin to hard science fiction, where it's science fiction, it's future looking, but future oriented, but it tends to stay close to reality. There has to be a logic. Think Alastair Reynolds, right?
Yeah.
Versus like Peter Hamilton. And so hard magic is in our minds the same kind of thing where the magic, it's not willy-nilly. It's not, I cast and everyone goes up in flames. It could be, but there has to be an internal logic to the mechanism. And that's where the Cosmere game verse really stands out.
And I will be very interested. We talked a little bit with him about the dice mechanic. We didn't get into that. That wasn't the
Yeah,
point of the convo. And the fact that there was a public beta out
yeah,
for it for a while. I will be interested in I didn't do this weekend in starting to look online and seeing the discussions, the YouTube videos of people who are utilizing that content and seeing their
yeah.
thoughts on it,
Really
and seeing how
curious,
it plays out.
really based on what Merrick will tell us shortly.
Yeah.
Really curious to see that dice mechanic in action.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Meric Moir is a digital marketing manager at an international engineering company, a MacEwan University graduate from the sadly defunct professional writing program, a father of four, and a constant storyteller and world builder. He recently became the book lead on Cosmere RPG's Mistborn World Guide.
So, Merrick, thanks for joining us. It's funny. Right before we hit record, we realized that we had actually been on a an episode with Green Ronin before. Um,
Good old Thursday age.
yeah, Thursdays. Yes, we
Mm-hmm.
did that
Mm-hmm.
when we were doing a session zero character creation for Fantasy Age 2, right early in its release, if I remember
Hmm.
correctly.
Yeah, we just had the
Um,
PDFs at that point. No hardcovers yet. We were just,
yeah,
yeah, just showcasing the character creation.
yeah, and I still believe that Jason and I, no disrespect to other high fantasy gaming systems out there. There's a lot of great ones out there, but we've already talked about the fact that when we have time to play high fantasy again, it's going to be FA2 just because
Yep.
we love the 3d6 dice mechanic.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
we love it. And you, we got so much to talk about, but it's just since I brought it up, you do a live play, right?
Yeah, so I'm currently doing something called Starfall Detective Agency. And so it is our diesel punk noir fantasy age game. So it's set in a world called New Taurios, which I made up. We run it second Mondays on Moonbeam, and
Okay.
then we publish the episodes on our YouTube on at Skyhammer Press. And so we're it's first season. Like this group previously did a 3-season show of the Expanse RPG called Hellbreakers,
Mhm.
and so we did that for 2 years, and so now we're doing some fantasy age because we wanted to do a little bit more high fantasy, but I made it weird because I went diesel punk floating Drac cities. Let's do that instead. So they've uh, they've done some woman comes in, her husband's missing, he got a new job, and she hasn't heard from him in a couple of days, so they go and investigate, and now they're tearing off into the story. It's a lot of fun. It's very cool.
That's
Jason, you
very
almost went
cool.
cross-eyed when he
I was letting the imagery come. It took me a moment to just kind of grok each of the pieces and get them in line.
Oh, there's
I,
there's a
yeah,
bunch of them.
yeah, yeah. Wow. Okay, so I don't even know where to go with that. There's so many places we want to go. So I mean, obviously, we asked you if you would chat with us. At least this is where we can start. There's so much more
But
Yeah.
before we do it,
because
just we'll post the links to those in the
oh
show
yeah,
notes.
of
Just
course,
Oh, thank you.
yeah,
Thank you very
yeah.
absolutely,
much.
yeah. Thanks, Brad. Yeah, you have written. I mean,
Hmm.
not to mention live played. You've written for a bunch of lines now.
Yes. The first one that I got to freelance for was The Expanse.
Hmm.
So with Green Ronin, had a lot of fun with that. And then from there, I went to Acton Cthulhu, did a
Hmm.
whole bunch of adventures with them, some work on some of their hardcovers, got my own softcover book. Vive la Resistance was all mine. I wrote
Nice.
100% of that book, which was really cool, such an opportunity.
Yeah.
Uh, After that, I got some Star Trek work. I did Star
Hmm.
Trek Adventures, um, again, obviously from Modiphius, and done some D&D stuff. But just around the Star Trek time, I also got involved with what was at that point the Stormlight RPG.
Right.
And they brought me in to write one adventure, and a year later, I am leading one of the books. So
Outstanding.
it's been pretty cool. It's been an amazing year and a half.
See, it's times like this where I do wish our audience could see the video, because like Merrick's grin, like just this wonderful smile, like living the dream here, right? So,
Yeah.
okay, so maybe let's just start there and we can kind of go backwards. So, full disclosure, like Brad, and I think I can speak for both of us because like you and I have been talking about this, Brad.
Hmm.
Brad and I came on to Sanderson's novels like 2 minutes ago. Like for guys who
Okay.
are
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
people, for people who are deep into sci-fi and also some fantasy, and it's not like there are only one or two books he's ever written, right?
Yeah.
I
No.
mean, his books tend to be like whole series for other people in terms of length,
Yeah.
and it was only over this past winter break that I read my first novel by him, and so I didn't
Where
know
did you start?
Mistborn.
Mistborn. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Mistborn. I'd been reading up a lot. Uh, Michael Dismuke had been recommending him his videos for his YouTube
Yeah. His
tutorials.
writing.
Yeah, and I started listening to those and thinking, okay, this is really interesting, and it's got to
Hmm.
be pretty creative. And then I asked around and got some recommendations, and I thought, okay, Mistborn's like a normal length novel. And it's one of the
Yeah.
early ones, and it's very highly spoken of. And so I thought, okay, that would be a good one to see if I like it. And I really got a kick out of it. Like it was really
Yeah.
creative, and oh,
You want to hear a really
yeah, I
interesting
do. Yeah,
like tidbit about Mistborn? December of 2024, Mistborn actually hit a bestseller list for the first time in its 10 years that it's been
really.
published. Yeah, it
Wow.
hit a bestseller list because Book Talk has just been going like wild over Mistborn. And so the sales have just
Interesting.
increased, and it actually hit a bestseller list for like a decade after publishing, which is wild.
I'll be
That's,
darned.
I mean, but it does go to show that you can't predict things with books. I
Yeah.
mean, it's kind of like games too. Like you really don't know what's really going to hit, and if it does, when it's going to hit.
Well, and Mistborn, it's one of those stories that feels relevant, timelessly relevant, but particularly relevant right now because it's a story about a bunch of people going counterculture and destroying an evil empire. Like it's how Star Wars continues to be relevant, and the
Yeah.
idea that, you know what, autocratic fascist governments are around and people got to do stuff about them. There's a cathartic feeling to the Mistborn series for me that way.
Yeah, we don't know
I
what you're
don't know
talking
why it would.
about.
I don't know. I don't. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
we're gonna have to think about that. Yeah, so Fred, you got into, but you started up with Sanderson's novels around the same time, but
I
you
was late.
decided you were gonna
I was
jump
later.
into it. Yeah.
Embarrassingly so. I hadn't heard about him until you and Michael had started talking about him,
Mm.
and ultimately I had gifted myself
Hmm. Hmm.
the Mistborn series. You know, you could buy the trade paperback series.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't. I had a milestone, professional milestone that I was
Hmm.
working to attain, and I
Yeah.
was going to allow myself. I couldn't open the cellophane on that pack of books and
Mm.
start reading it until I attained it, which I did. So I'm in the midst.
Congratulations. Very
Yes,
happy.
so I'm in the midst of
Yeah,
doing
we haven't even
reading it
talked about.
now.
And so
So
when we saw that there was an RPG, and I don't even remember how I came across that, when we saw that there was an
you saw
RPG,
it first, yeah.
yeah, it was like, oh, wait, that's fascinating because it's one of the more creative worlds we'd
Mhm.
encountered. And then it's like, wait a minute, I know that guy's name. Why do I know that guy's name? It's like, because he's written a bunch of STA, right?
Mm.
And I'm like, oh, and so maybe we could start there. Like, how did, I mean, you were already, it seems, quite prolific in the industry by the time they called you for Cosmere. But like, I mean, what can you tell us? How did that happen, and what's that been like?
Oh, that was honestly the wildest, like 3, 4 days of my freelancing career because I'm a part-time freelancer. I have a full-time day job that I work at as a digital marketing manager. I'm a writer and an editor in my day job.
Nice.
And basically, what happened was I had spent the summer pitching what I thought was going to be my first Star Trek Adventures product. Like I had spoken with Jim quite a bit,
Mhm.
and Jim Johnson.
Yep, we've heard of him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah,
I was like, for the listeners, do they
yeah.
know?
You're right.
Anyways.
They've probably heard of him
Yeah,
too at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've done
good, good.
yeah,
yeah,
our show people probably know who he is, so you're good.
Yeah. So I had been talking with Jim for quite a while because he was a very nice supporter of our streaming stuff. We'd done a couple of Star Trek
yeah.
Adventures streams, and he knew I was interested in writing for Star Trek Adventures. Um, and I had an idea after watching an episode of Strange New Worlds, and I was like, "Hey, I'd love to do this." And he said, "I'm taking pitches in October. Like,
Yeah.
here's some reading material. Write something up and send it to me in October." And great, great. Like my brain is in this all summer. I got my pitch together. I sent it to him. And while I was waiting for him to get back to me, I saw a tweet about the Stormlight RPG looking for writers. And this was the project manager at the time. Uh, and I just, messaged him, just direct messaged and said, "Hey, you don't know me. I would love to write for the stuff. Like,
Yeah.
here's my portfolio." And I gave him my website. And he's like, "Oh, great. Thank you for sending it in. Like, I'll take a look." And then, like, the next day, he messaged me back and he was like, "This is really good. Can you send a writing sample, please?" I'm like, "Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Here's a PDF of one of my adventures."
Yeah.
And then that was like a Monday. Tuesday morning, Jim gets back to me and he says, "I love your idea. This is going to be a briefs package. We're gonna get you to do that.
Nice.
But do you have capacity to do a really quick adventure right now for the starter set? Because we're looking for a third adventure writer." And so he brought me on with Michael Dismuke and Al
Yeah.
Spader
Yeah.
to write up one of the adventures on the starter set.
Yeah.
And I'm
That's
like,
cool.
"Yeah, I'd love to do that. That sounds great." And then while I was like riding this high of I'm a Star Trek writer now, I've got 2 projects coming, Anthony Joyce Rivera comes back to me and he says, "Hey, the creative director really loved it and he wants to have a meeting with you.
Wow.
Can you are you free this week?"
Yep.
And I was like, "Yeah, cool, cool,
Hmm.
cool, cool, sure." So then Thursday that week, I met with Johnny O'Neill from Brotherwise, and like I had signed all the NDAs going into the meeting, and he's like, "We want
Jeez.
to hire you on for one adventure, and here's the big thing: it's not the Stormlight RPG, it's the Cosmere RPG." And I'm
Very
like,
cool.
and he just gave me a presentation of like all this art and plans. It
Yeah.
was incredible, and so I spent October and November like writing Star Trek and Stormlight simultaneously,
Oh man.
and I just like got those out really quick, and then
Wow.
Star Trek went and did its thing, and then I just kind of kept taking Stormlight work for the next couple of months up until I did a couple of things in Stonewalkers, which is the adventure path for the Stormlight RPG.
Oh, cool.
I did
Mhm.
I did chapter 3 and I did chapter 6, and I helped with revisions and things like that. Did some work on the world guide,
That
but
looks really
then
cool.
oh, it's gorgeous. What became like the really big thing for me was in the spring of last year. They said, okay, we're starting work on our Mistborn world guide. Meric, we'd like you to come in and write some of the stuff on it.
Yeah.
How would you like to write all of our points of interest chapter? So I got that entire chapter to myself
Wow.
and started writing that. We wrote it in a couple of phases, so I was writing it all over the summer, and then obviously by August we launched the Kickstarter, revealed that it was the Cosmere RPG, not just the Stormlight one, and
Hmm.
that it's this big multi-world thing that we are taking on. And I started being able to tell people like, yeah, I'm working on Mistborn stuff. And then by December of 2024, the Mistborn World Guide book lead was stepping into a different position. She's
Hmm.
taking on more design focused stuff, and they're like, Merrick, do you want to book lead this? So
Cool.
all of the all of the writers, and there were like 9 different contributors on the book
Hmm.
at that point,
Hmm.
um, had all handed in their stuff, and then I was co-book leading it with Lydia for January, and then I took over, halfway through February, and I've been running it and putting it together for the last couple of weeks. So
Wow.
yeah,
So well
that's where I'm
done.
at. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's not dull. That is, gee.
It's incredible. It's so exciting. And like, so you're both starting in Mistborn right now. Like, how far
Mhm.
are you in the books?
Oh, literally, I've read Mistborn.
Literally the
Yeah,
first one.
literally read
Cool.
Mistborn. That's
Yeah.
all it. And I haven't. Yeah, I have like I just haven't gotten to Stormlight yet.
Yeah.
There, it's a bit of a lift. It's a little intimidating. It's like in terms of like a commitment. It's like okay, like like I felt like I could walk away having read Mistborn. I'm like I'm good right now. I
Well, and
can do this,
let's
but to commit, it's like yeah, it's getting there. We'll see what happens over the
well,
summer
well,
when I have the
for
time to. Yeah.
Jason is not traditionally a fiction reader, so to get
Mhm.
him to read fiction,
If it's fiction, it's probably sci-fi, and if it's
yeah.
sci-fi, it's Asimov doesn't write much anymore. Adams doesn't
Yeah.
write much anymore. Very disappointing. But like
So
if
what
it's
I
yeah,
heard that he read, when I heard that he read Sanderson,
it
once I
was really
realized
cool.
who it
Yeah,
was, I
yeah.
was
If you
shocked because it was just not in his realm normally.
and that's one of the things that really like psyched me up about Mistborn. And like when I got into Sanderson, basically what had happened, and it seems to be a pattern with me. If somebody tells me 3 times to read something, like, and it doesn't need to be the same person. If I've heard from 3 different places, this is good, I just buy in. And so, like, I did that with the Mistborn books. I
Yep.
just bought the trilogy, and I'm like, fine, I'll read them. Okay. And the like opening from Sanderson talking about how his vision for it was 3 separate trilogies over different time skips sold me immediately because one day we're going to get Mistborn in space. And
Wait, like seriously? Is
okay,
it,
so this is his plan. So Mistborn, the first trilogy, is set in the time that you are familiar
right,
with.
right,
Era 2 takes
yep,
place a couple hundred years later. There's a
right.
time skip. Era 3, which he's working on right now, and the first book's coming out 2027-ish, um, is going to be roughly like 1980s analog.
Oh, and yeah.
And then uh, Era 4
Oh my
is going to
God.
be space age.
And the Cosmere, okay, first of all, very cool. You had me
Mm-hmm.
at Space Age. Second, the Cosmere RPG, presumably, yeah, I mean, from what's been written, announced, it's going to, whatever it means, keep pace with these because it's so what
Absolutely.
excuse me, what attracted me, well, other than the premise, other than like the little bit of artwork they shared, I mean. it does look gorgeous.
It's
Um,
the artists that they have brought in are
it
spectacular.
really looks like that. But also the notion of a living RPG. That's like a new thing. Like right. Like
Yeah,
it's not just I mean, it is. It's like planning that from the beginning of he's going to keep writing, and consequently the RPG in whatever way, in whatever methods, is going to keep pace and keep expanding,
yeah.
and that's very provocative.
It's also fully canon, which is the
Right.
wildest part. So
That's cool.
we have a really close relationship with Dragonsteel, which is Brandon Sanderson's publishing company,
Hmm.
where all of the stuff that we write goes to them for IP approval,
Hmm.
and we're able to like reveal stuff that hasn't been revealed in the books. And when
Oh
something is printed in our books,
no.
it's
Hmm.
canon for his novels going
That's
forward
cool.
as well.
Hmm.
So like the
Wow.
events, yeah, like say the locations that we publish in the Stormlight World Guide, they could be referenced in further Stormlight books. Same thing with the
Yeah.
Mistborn books. So
So like if you I mean it's
that's
cool
pretty
because
cool.
like if it is because like if you create something,
Yeah,
it could show up in a future novel. Like that was
it,
you.
exactly. And I mean, like, I was very fortunate to be tapped for a lot of the stuff that is the new lore.
Hmm.
So our sort of like book structure for a world guide, it's meant to be like a coffee table book. Like someone
Okay.
who's never going to play the RPG should also have a really fun time flipping through this book, looking at the art and
That's
learning
cool.
about a world for a novel series that they love. And so like our early chapters are very much here's an overview of the world. Here are the countries, the nations, the people, the various
Yeah.
regions. We have a cosmology and religion, so like we're talking about actually like the high concept stuff that you get into the Cosmere later.
Yeah.
um, there's big history sections as well.
Nice.
There's character sections highlighting like named characters from the
Yep.
novels,
Yep.
and then you get into the points of interest chapters, which is what I got to focus on
Yeah.
at first. And it's like pick a spot. So, for example, having read the first Mistborn, one of them is Luthadel.
Hmm.
It's the city, and like we hit sort of the high notes that you know from the books, and then we
Hmm.
fill in a lot of the gaps as well to create spaces for players and
Right.
GMs to
Right.
create their own campaigns and so on. If and of course Brandon's not going back and writing more Arrow One stuff, but if he did, the stuff there could exist because it does now. It
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
does exist in there, and putting that together is very exciting and very cool and like quite a process because we have um, obviously all the writers are quite knowledgeable,
Yeah.
and we also have this group of people called the World Singers. They are like volunteer Cosmere scholars. Like they do podcasts, they run websites, they know all of
Jeez.
the stuff, and they come in and they lore check us as well
Nice.
before we go to Dragonsteel and say like, hey, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice
so it's very
crowdsourcing.
cool.
That's really cool. So,
Yeah, they're well.
Do you have, is there communication um between your group that's working on the RPG and Sanderson himself at all with any of it? Or
Yeah, definitely it's mostly through Johnny, who's our creative director,
okay.
and some other people like Lydia, who was the Mistborn World Guide book lead. She was the Stormlight World Guide book lead. She's the lead writer on the project.
Yeah.
Uh, she also lives in Utah and has gone and like done meetings and so on there. I live up in Canada. I don't fly down to Utah to meet Brandon directly,
right. Right.
unfortunately.
Hey, you might want to
That's
stay in
fine.
Canada these days, unfortunately,
Yeah, I
Yeah. Yeah.
know.
Probably
We
pro
love, by the way, we love Canada.
yeah.
We
Canada's
love
great.
we love Canada.
Yeah.
Don't listen
Yeah.
to what you might see
Yeah.
on the news. We love Canada.
Oh,
Merrick,
thank you.
where
I
are
live out
you
here now.
in Canada?
I'm in Edmonton, Alberta.
Oh, so cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm up in St. Paul. Or sorry, I'm down in St. Paul. Um, but that's very cool. I haven't been to No, I haven't been to Alberta yet. That's on the list. I've been lots of other places in Canada, but yeah.
Alberta's good. Like we've got a lot of lakes, we've got mountains. I
Yep,
like BC better.
sure.
Um, like politically and visually, BC's
Mm,
better. Cost wise, BC's worse.
yes.
But I mean, I was born and raised here in Alberta. I lived in BC for a little bit, came back here with family,
Yeah.
those sorts of things. I have kids, and I
Oh,
needed to be by my parents for
oh yeah.
additional help.
Mm,
I mean, it makes a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hugely, absolutely. No, I mean, yeah, we know that's like. So I'm curious. So as a book lead, like we love to talk about process and like the back end of things of not just the products, but like
I'm
the
going to use the
creation
term,
and
Jason.
just
I'm
go
going to
for it,
use
get it out of
I'm
your
going to use the
system.
phrase. I'm going to
Okay.
use the phrase.
Yeah.
The term that Jason hates. I don't like it either. The sausage making
Yes, of
of
course. There is a lot of
of the behind the
like
scenes stuff.
grinding
Yeah.
Yeah,
that goes
So
the
into making a book.
but
Yeah.
how you but that stuff that the writing is the sometimes like the cool and sexy stuff that people talk about, but you
there's
know
so much more. Yeah.
there's so much more to it. And as someone who's, for me, especially with someone who's not traditional, really a writer, I'm fascinated by the work that goes into it, not just you sitting there and writing itself. That to me is also fascinating, but the whole
Yeah.
process
Yeah.
behind it.
So being a book lead on a Cosmere book,
Mhm.
what's that look like? What are the
Yeah.
things you're doing? How do you balance that? It sounds like you have a life outside of this. So like how does that
Yes.
all work?
So I have my day job that I do. I then take a little break, spend some time with the kids, have dinner, and then spend a couple of hours generally every night
Mm,
going through documents and like having a manuscript, having two or three spreadsheets, having reference physical books. We have a database of all of the Cosmere books, like just in that, so you can word search through them.
mm-hmm.
Um, and then uh, Discord as well, just being like we have a Discord server where we can ping all of the other people. Um, it's it's definitely like meet with the other leads
Yep.
and talk through ideas, translate those out to the freelancers and the contributors, get them to work, they send in stuff, put it all back together, and just keep getting ready and hitting the next deadline.
Mm,
So we had a 2 month revision period. So we had everybody got their stuff in end of December. Lydia and I spent 4 to 6 weeks just going through it and making a plan. Like, how do we turn these nine people's contributions into one book?
yeah.
Literally just making a plan for each individual person. And life happens, right? Right? Like some
Mhm,
people have
mhm.
left the project, some people have taken different roles in the project, some people are just unavailable to come back and work on it
Yeah.
for various reasons in life. So when that crops up, you got to go, okay, what's our second plan? Who takes this part? Who works on it? Yada, yada, yada. And so we sent that all out. And then the writers had 2 months. They had February and March to do all of the things that we asked them to do to bring it all kind of together.
Hmm.
And I got that all back end of March. And I've just been basically reading through it and clicking off a checklist, being like, was this
No.
done? Was this done? Was this done?
Hmm.
Um, and then in 2.5 weeks now, it's going to go to Laura, who's our lead editor on the project. Incredible, like so prolific in the industry. She has edited most of the like big D&D books
Wow.
out there and most of
Jeez.
the other RPG books out
Yeah.
there. And so she's going to do a massive developmental edit on it, and I'll work with her.
Hmm.
Like she'll go through with fresh eyes
Hmm.
and all of her expertise and experience and all of the knowledge that she's gained from doing that to the handbook, which is what she's currently working.
Okay.
And then we combine it and make it one big meatball of a single game system rather than 9 writers all had cool ideas in a row. So it's a thing, and I love doing it, and it is. I worked early in my career in print production,
Hmm.
and so I've done it a bunch, and so it's nice to do it again.
That's
I want to
yeah, that's
digress here
cool.
just because
Yeah.
just by what you said, I'm gonna this is what we were talking about, I think before we hit record about taking right turns and everything. Going way back, how did you get yourself involved in first of all in gaming? You know, a lot, and it's probably a
Yes.
similar story to a lot
Yes.
of to all of us, but
Yeah.
into gaming and then into like writing and gaming as well.
Hmm.
So that's kind of like a
Hmm.
two prong question, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so I mean, similar story to a lot of people. Like I loved gaming, played board games, played video games, played like Baldur's Gate and Neverwinter Nights and those sorts of things. Um, but I didn't touch pen and paper RPG till university when I saw some friends holding the 3.5 player's handbook, and I was like, what is that? What tell me more? And then just like sucked in completely. Um, but I was in university for computing science, did 3 semesters of that,
Okay.
did not like, left, um, did random jobs until I saved up some money and opened a board game store and sold
Oh.
games for about a year and a half, and then lost a lot of money and went, gotta close this. What am I going to do with my life? And my wonderful wife, who was my fiance at the time, uh, said, "Hey, MacEwan has a professional writing program. Why don't you go check that out?" So, 4-year program,
Yeah.
and I did that in 2.5 years because I was
Oh,
like, I don't want to be back in school. I'm just going to take maximum course load
Hmm.
all
Hmm.
the time and
Jeez.
crush through this. Uh, and after my I think, yeah, like in the summer after my second year, going into what was going to be my final year, I got a job as a production assistant, doing print publications for the government of
Cool.
Alberta. And
hmm.
so I was doing a lot of line editing and production editing, and
Yeah.
like I was doing press checks and learning those skills, and working with like contract designers and stuff. And I got to book lead 2 small books there, like because I worked there for 3 or 4 years.
Mm.
Um, then got a job working for an engineering company, and I've been there for 10 years now. Uh, I manage a team of 3 writers,
Yes.
and so just like a lot of
Huh.
that.
So
Now,
do you do a lot of technical writing?
yeah, yeah, more storytelling of technical writing.
Hmm.
I don't have to do like this is how the engineering is done.
Right.
We did cool engineering. You should hire us kind of
Hmm.
writing.
Okay. Hmm.
Yeah.
Like RFP
But
type of stuff and no?
no web stuff
Okay.
like
Oh, cool. Okay.
marketing copy. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. And then, although I have written RFPs back at the government of Alberta,
Yeah.
um, but yeah. And then getting into writing for TTRPG, like I said, the first one was with Green Ronin and The
Hmm.
Expanse. And what actually happened was, like I said, I lived on Vancouver Island in BC for
Hmm.
2 years.
Gorgeous.
Gorgeous place,
Yeah.
wonderful place. And I had to build a whole new community out there, like playing card games and running TTRPGs, but I
Yeah.
was really missing like my groups back in Edmonton. And so when we moved back to Edmonton, I unveiled a master plan to my friends. I said, look, I have a list of 12 games that I want to play. I'm going to run one a month for the next year.
Interesting.
So sign up for the ones that you're interested in.
Yes.
And I was like, it's going to be on a Saturday. It's going to be a potluck. We start at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Characters are already made. We're going to do a one shot in this game, one a month. I went to do the very first one and I was like, you know what? I'm really liking this whole critical role thing right now. So let me just put a mic out on the table and let's record this. Maybe
Hmm.
we'll turn it into a podcast. And I ended up doing 5 seasons of something called Massive Damage Adventures,
Yes.
which was one shots. We did 12 episodes a season, except I started reviewing games and started doing a review game every month as well. So we were doing like 24 episodes a season.
Yeah.
And then I started interviewing people. So I interviewed like the creator of Fragged Empire, and I brought on the Story Brewers, the ones who do Good Society and Fight with Spirit, and um, one of the people I brought on was Ian Lemke doing The Expanse.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Reached out to him on Twitter, got him onto the
Yep.
podcast, just talked to him about the game. And during the pre-post podcast conversation, he was like, "Yeah, I'm always looking for new writers." And I'm like, "I'm a writer. Like, I'd love to write something for The Expanse." And it just continued on.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Man, oh man.
When you one more, when you write,
Hmm.
what's kind of your, you know, again, this hyper nerdy question, I kind of ask people this, what's kind of your ecosystem for writing? Do you have,
Ooh, yeah.
PC, Mac,
Are you like
certain,
Jim Johnson? You're just laying it out on linotype? I mean, what's your
yeah.
thing?
I
Sorry,
have
Jim. So,
I
um,
have I have a big setup right here. I've got 4 screens.
Okay.
I've always got a cup of tea. I've got
ah,
must have my tea.
Yes.
Um, and many Spotify playlists
Yep.
uh, to like get me in the particular mood of whatever I'm writing, like action sequences, or Mistborn has its own one. When I'm doing editing, I have one that's literally just every song of Billy Talent in order
oh,
because the music just gets in my head and lets me really focus. Yeah.
Interesting. So
Jason's going to be looking that up later. I think he
I
by the
am.
look in his eye.
I'm
Yeah.
so okay, so like I can see with the editing and with the lead stuff, like having the multiple monitors. But even when you're writing, you're
Hmm.
utilizing 4 monitors.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
generally.
Okay.
Because I've got notes in OneNote.
Okay.
I've got
Mm-hmm.
physical notes on a notepad.
Yep.
I've got, Spotify going. I've got reference materials going.
Yeah.
Um, I've got Discord up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just for the record, so you know, after we hang up and like we wander away from this chat, rest assured, Brad and I will be talking about exactly this for the next 3 days, based on our
Yeah.
previous conversations of workflow.
I just love that
Yeah.
because I'm like I look at different productivity methods, and not because one's good or one's bad. It's just it's fascinating to me as someone who has tried different methodologies and things like that
Yeah.
for writing and management, and some work for me, some don't. I run with 3 screens because Jason has a different methodology than
I
mine.
have
Not
my one laptop screen.
Yeah, and that's okay. There's nothing. I'm not.
Yeah. Whatever
Yeah,
works.
it's just
Yeah. Get
it's
the
just
words on
funny how
paper.
it's how we operate differently. I have to use
Mhm.
a task management system, and I have to look at it from a Kanban perspective, and I have there's
Mhm.
things that I need to do to be functional. And for some, it looks like chaos. For me, it looks like order.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
Absolutely. I've got it
My
just go ahead.
my process definitely when I'm writing something for Fantasy Age right now, actually.
Nice.
Uh, and like I'll have a OneNote document that I can access from my computer, I can access from my phone anytime I have an idea or like
Yep.
some free time where I want to work on something. I'm just throwing stuff into a big soup document there,
Nice. Yeah.
and then I put it into a laid out outline. And
Hmm.
it's a lot of my outlines are like almost first drafts. Like I've put all of the ideas in, and then when I'm actually doing the first draft, I'm really just prettying up the words I've already put there.
And
Like
yeah,
putting
yeah,
them in the correct order. Does this work? Make it sound good, and then iterate.
yeah. Since we're down this rabbit hole, we might as well go all the
Mm,
way. So what app do you like to write in?
not just Word.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, the Cosmere RPG and most freelance jobs are pretty strict. They have their own templates.
Yeah.
So like here's the template you've got to match, here's the style guide you've got to match, and then you've got to submit it in such a way. Um, the Cosmere RPG has a very robust like word template
Nice.
that like you have to format stuff with their styles
Hmm.
as you're
Wow.
going. And then
Yeah,
it makes it easier for the editor, it makes it easier for the graphic designer.
absolutely.
Whereas other ones like when I'm working for Green Ronin, uh, everything has a particular style, but it's all in like sort of normal style. Like
Hmm.
there's no styles applied to it.
Hmm. So
Just different workflows for them. Yeah.
That's
so
cool.
kind of going back a bit to the Cosmere RPG team. So I'm guessing that we know the answer to this, but obviously in 2025, it's the standard that most teams in the industry, whether they're whole RPG production or whether they're books or whatever, it's heavily freelance. Right. We
Yeah.
know the industry has changed. Is it fair to assume that's largely the same that most working on Cosmere, it's a freelance kind of structure, other than a few at the
Yeah.
top? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There's very few full-time
Yeah.
people. There are a couple.
Yep.
I'm not one of them.
Yeah.
I am part-time freelance on it. Uh, but yeah, pretty much all the contributors are freelancers. I don't think no, some of the freelancers are full-time freelancers,
Nice.
and a
Yeah.
lot of them also have other jobs.
Yeah.
Um, Something I was gonna say there. Oh, one thing that was really really cool about that, like just a couple of weeks ago, back in February, I think
Yeah.
actually, they put out a call for writers,
Hmm.
and they got like 4,000
Oh my God.
people like who
Wow.
responded to that.
Yeah.
Um, and so there's a lot of people who want to write for this game.
Doesn't
I
surprise me.
I'm real excited that I got noticed on a random DM on a tweet, right? So, um,
It's really cool.
but yeah,
How do
I actually
you
got,
do you have to are you involved in reviewing any of that
Yeah.
content? You know?
yeah, a little bit. So, um, that round of people coming in, I didn't do any direct stuff on. I was in the middle of handing out revisions to the writers on the World Guide. So Lydia and Lila handed that. Lila's the current project manager.
Hmm.
And the book lead for the two adventures, Stonewalkers and the Mistborn one coming up.
Hmm.
But what I did get to do is like we've done a couple of rounds of bringing people in, and back in fall of 2024, when I was um, wrapping up my Mistborn writing stuff and hadn't been offered the book lead gig, I was doing the Stormlight Scenarios e-supplement, which is um, uh, a series of short adventures, just 2-page adventures.
Oh wow.
And so we brought in 6 new writers and said, all we want is 1,000 word adventure from you to be put on a 2-page spread. And so I'm book leading that. All of the writers have got their stuff in. It's in dev editing right now.
Mhm.
It's getting art and stuff soon, and that's really cool. And that was our way to kind of be like, let's work with more people, let's get some more
That's
writers in,
cool.
and like
Hmm.
kind of see what you're doing and what
Hmm.
ideas you have, which has been
Yeah.
very fun.
You mentioned earlier this evening, you mentioned you guys working on an adventure path.
Mhm.
And that stuck with me because I mean, we haven't played Pathfinder for a while, to put it mildly. But one of the things I like surprises me, but I one of the things I like about Pathfinder is the concept of the adventure path. Honestly, more to just read through them. It's kind of
Mm.
because I like the lit of it, but you don't see most RPGs taking that approach. Tons of adventures, including some heavy adventures, but an AP is kind of a different animal. But there be like that kind of AP in Cosmere,
Well,
or maybe not like gargantuan, but
and I'll have to qualify that a little bit in that I think I've only played one Pathfinder Adventure Path
yeah,
forever ago. So
yeah,
the actual like difference between an AP and what we're doing,
yeah,
I'm not fully
yeah.
sure of. But this is a 6 or 7 part adventure.
Oh, it's pretty
Each
big.
one, yeah, each one is uh like an 8,000 word adventure.
Wow. Okay.
And so
That's epic.
That's
it's
really
a full
cool.
book.
Yeah.
And the coolest thing about it is it was pitched uh, to sort of brotherwise by Brandon Sanderson and Dan Wells, who's the head of narrative at Dragonsteel, uh, that they wanted to fill sort of like or finish off a loose thread in the novels.
Mhm.
Something in Way of Kings, the first Stormlight novels, is sort of hinted at and never explained.
Brad, you have your
Technically, it's
homework?
actually, yeah, there you go. Technically, it's in Words of Radiance, the second book, where
Mm.
it's not explained. But
Hmm. That's
basically,
cool.
it's an actual canon story explaining what up until now has been considered a plot hole
But with
Oh,
way better
see,
artwork.
with way better
Yeah.
artwork. And
see,
so,
that is so cool the way they're going to do that. I mean,
yeah,
this
Yeah,
is
I'm so all in. Yeah.
well, and it's interesting because you as a group, as players,
Hmm.
you can see sort of the outline of the canon story. A to Z, this is the story, and then you fill in the middle parts.
Yep.
As long as you showed up for the first adventure and at the end you hand the MacGuffin to Group B, you have fulfilled the book. And when it comes up in book 5 in Stormlight,
Yeah.
you read it and go, "Oh, we did that," which is wild. Because like when I was reading book 5 of Stormlight, I saw the character name there, and I'm like, oh, I we did this,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
why this is here.
This is really, I mean, it, we're big into RPG lit,
that's what I
like
was
or
just going to
yeah,
bring it
I
up,
like
you know.
or I get yeah, like lit art. I guess lit
It's
RPG, like
actually
just the notion.
the idea of when you talked about being able to use these books as coffee table books,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, whether you use,
Hmm.
like taking like a Star Trek book, one of the Star Trek Adventures books, and if you don't have someone to play right,
Yeah.
a group to play with right now,
Yep.
sitting there just reading the
Yeah.
material,
Yeah,
Yeah.
or
Utopia Planitia is like a really good example of that for
Yes.
people who love
Yes.
yes, oh, I
space
bought an
wars who
extra
just want to
copy and
see.
keep it
Yeah.
at my
Oh,
keep it next to my old man
Nice.
chair
hello, my
upstairs.
name is Brad and I have a problem.
Oh
It's
yeah,
true. Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
I got a problem.
I mean,
So
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
here I've got the 3 collector's copies of just the core book of STA.
Oh, look
Like
at
yeah,
these are
that.
the same
Yes.
book. I didn't
yeah,
need 3 of
Beautiful.
them.
Yeah, but they
yeah,
look good in three different colors.
They sure
yes,
do.
yes. But yeah, when you said that, that just to me, I think I don't know about you, Jace. I just
Oh yeah.
that tells me that this whole series is going to have lit as RPG or RPG as lit all over it.
Like
It's good.
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
we are going to be
I'm not a big
kids in a candy
fantasy. Yeah,
store.
yeah, I'm not a big fantasy player or reader, but like since I saw the first announcement and like surfed
Mm.
the website for Cosmere RPG and especially like listening to all of this, like if it were available today, this is probably this an STA. It's like this is all I would want to play. I would
It's fun to play too. Yeah.
is it? Yeah.
I really enjoy
Yeah.
it. There's some really cool things. Like we're deep into testing Mistborn mechanics right now. Like Stormlight
Nice.
is it's at print, like it's
Yeah, yeah.
doing its thing. Um, but like I'm running a Mistborn playtest
Cool.
next Wednesday in a
Yeah.
week. Um, and still waiting on my marching orders of what they'd like me to test, but
Yeah.
I love running the game. I
Um
love playing it.
I don't, I want to be careful asking a question here. And maybe I mean, I guess I haven't looked in a few weeks. not much has been said about the mechanic, right? There's a little
Hmm.
bit out there. Is that right?
So the beta rules
Yeah.
were available all the way up until March 31st, and
Okay.
then they just went down because like Demiplane and all of the various partners are
Yeah.
going to be implementing the final version of the rules
Sure.
now.
Sure.
So they've taken it down and so on. Um, but I think you can still get like the
They were
rules
out there at one
preview.
point, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so people have played it. I've
Sweet.
run two streams on my channel showing it off.
Oh, good. Okay, good, good.
And then yeah, there was a an actual play uh, which was really cool with shoot. Oh man, I can't remember his name right now. Really big DM out of the UK.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like it's out there. It's very cool.
Okay, I'm gonna have to search for that because I'm really curious about the.
Yeah.
I was
And
so
Brandon
focused on the
Sanderson
lit.
did the
Yeah.
fancy dice.
What?
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, these are the Dragonsteel like dice for the
There you
game.
go.
And the important thing is the plot die, which is sort of the custom D6 that's
Oh,
added to the
look at
system.
that. Yeah.
So it's got two blank sides,
Yep.
two sides which are good, something good happened, and then two sides which are, oh, something bad happened.
Yeah.
And so you throw the plot die in whenever you're doing like a narratively interesting roll. It's not on every
Oh,
roll, but
that's
like,
interesting.
if your friend's falling off a cliff, the GM might say, for example, yeah, make an athletics test and raise the stakes.
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
put the plot die in to give that extra axis against success or failure. You also get opportunity or complication.
Nice.
Yeah.
No.
It's really nice. It's a good way to add more narrative aspects to
Yeah.
TTRPG.
Yeah. That's. I mean, we love that. Okay. So go ahead. No,
No, go
you.
ahead, because I'll wrap up with the question, but
Okay,
go ahead.
so before you do that, I was going to say I kind of got one of the more final questions here. So, and obviously you can answer this any way you want, Merrick, but because man, you've written for quite a few RPGs and quite a few major. I mean, let's. Oh, that's right. You know what?
What is
Um,
this?
I no, I've heard
Oh,
you in interviews.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this is my I have a tattoo that is my portfolio.
Yep.
Holy crap, look
Yep.
at
Because
that.
there's
So
STA.
yeah.
Said
I
holy
just
crap.
put
I think it's going to be
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So we got Star Trek, we've got the Expanse. This is Actum Cthulhu. That's the Section M logo.
Okay.
Then that's the Stormlight logo. Now
Ah.
I need to update it. Um, each
That's
dot
awesome. That is so cool.
each dot is something that I've been paid to do.
Wow.
And then I've got to throw Mistborn on there. I've got a new Expanse thing. Like I've got Fantasy Age
Okay.
coming. I don't
Well,
have anything on there for D&D.
okay, so like toward having to upgrade to a longer arm, I'm
Yes,
curious
exactly.
if I'm curious if like I mean you've written for all of
Well,
these.
you could just go full sleeve if you needed to.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's
yeah, oh
just
yeah.
go this
Yeah.
way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I like the cyborg alternative, but whatever. So I'm it are there any RPG franchises that like are seem out there, but like you would just love someday to be able to write anything for? Like maybe
Oh,
something a little,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah,
I
just
think
like
you
Yes.
alluded to
something a
one.
little
I think you kind
different.
of alluded to one you wanted to game at some point. I don't know if there was one that you might want to, if it was
Hmm.
something you wanted to write for, but
Yes, I mentioned the Marvel Multiverse RPG, which is
Oh,
yeah,
something that I'm a huge Marvel fan. I'm a comics books fan as well.
okay.
Like
yeah.
that'd be great. I'd absolutely write for them. Um, I'm a huge fan of Monty Cook games, like Cipher System, Invisible Sun would be
Hmm,
something that would be incredible to work on.
interesting.
Um, and I love working with Modifius.
Yeah.
I've got all the Dreams and Machines stuff right here. It'd be
Oh,
cool to do something
cool.
there.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, no, I love games. Like going back to the Massive Damage Adventures talk, like we played each one of those one shots
Yeah.
was a unique game. So
Right.
over 5 years, we played more than 100 different RPGs.
Oh my God. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
And
What was
so
the
each
most? Okay, you
Wow.
between the gaming and the writing question, I kind of killed my own final question. So I'm going to change it.
It happens.
Cool.
That's okay. That's okay because you mentioning that gave me an interesting kind of question to wrap up. But before I do that, really thank you for joining us. We
Oh,
really I could talk to you for hours about this
Oh, I
stuff.
could
So
keep
if
going. Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah,
So
if it I it you know we know you have a family and everything like that, and we really appreciate you. We'd love to have you back on when you have time and
Mhm.
talk more. Um, just because I mean this conversation could could last. We could have like episodes like we've had with Jim where they span. Um, what was the most like I know we never I don't like the negative type of questions. What was like the craziest or most unique game that like totally blew your mind or like
good question.
weirded you out
Yeah.
maybe that you played when you were doing your one shot unique game type
Hmm.
of adventures? You know. Like for some people, there are crazy games out there like Paranoia or things like that. But, is there anything that kind of like, you know, was kind of like,
Yeah.
okay, that's kind of not like you didn't like it, but that was kind of a weird one, or that kind of threw the folks for a loop, or um,
I
you
think
know, or a
like
memorable one.
the first one, and I'm quickly cheating and going
Yeah,
back to
that's okay. You could cheat.
all of my games and looking at the art for them to just remember. But the first one that comes to mind is Blades in the Dark because um
Interesting.
I
That's a fate
Right.
backbone game,
it's
Chase.
it's
Yeah.
kind
Yeah. Yeah.
of it's kind of actually powered by the apocalypse.
Oh yeah,
Hmm.
that's right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So PBTA is a game system that does not fit in my brain. I have played it a couple of times, and every time I read it, I go, this is one of the best game systems I've ever seen. And then when I run it, I go, I don't know what to do. And so I've played City of Mist and really enjoyed it. I've played Legacy Life Among the Ruins and really enjoyed it. Blades in the Dark bridged that gap for me in a way where I was like, oh, this makes sense. And it gave a completely different gameplay experience where it felt really organic that we were doing a heist and that it got done quickly. Like we had allotted this was a review one, I think, a quick one, and we'd allotted no, it was the first episode. Anyways, we'd allotted 4 hours for the game, and we got done our first adventure in 2 hours with like a really succinct story. And we were like, that was fun. Want to play another? And we just did another one in the next 2 hours.
Wow.
Wow.
Jeez.
And the book itself is designed in such a way that is so easy to GM. There are so many like little tables for inspiration or like create this area by just rolling dice a couple of quick times. Like it's a beautiful, wonderful game. Um, and
I
then
have
like
it on my shelf, and you know why I think that? Because I have it on my shelf um next to my Fate books and next to like Savage Worlds because it's that size book. It's like that kind of that
yeah,
trade paperback size
exactly.
book. So, but yeah, I have not gotten into the PBTA stuff. I just haven't
Yeah.
had time, but I've heard
So
it's fascinating.
it's super good. And so I got a couple of other things in my brain that I want to get out.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
High Rollers RPG were the people who did the Stormlight actual play. So High Rollers
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
for that
Hmm.
one. Um, Another game that I super love is really anything Cortex. Um,
Firefly
Interesting.
wasn't Firefly that or Serenity?
yeah,
Which one?
Firefly and Serenity were both Cortex. One's
Hmm.
Cortex, one's Cortex Plus,
Yeah.
and then like they've done a Marvel one that I haven't tried. They do Tales of Zadia. Um, I've used them. Like I got the Cortex Prime book, which is like a build your own RPG book,
Okay.
and I was like, we're gonna playtest this by creating a Stormlight RPG,
Oh.
which I put out this podcast like a year before they'd announced the Stormlight RPG. So I definitely mentioned that to them. I was like, yeah, no, I definitely have done some design in Stormlight into RPGs. I've been trying to make this happen for a while. Uh, I could
You
keep
did
going.
you
I
say
could
that you
keep
did
going.
say that to them as you
I
were kind
did
of
say that. Yeah.
good? Yeah.
I mean, I also my wife and I we also we make resin dice.
Oh, cool.
And
Oh,
one of the things that I did was one of the things that we did was we made 10 sets of dice for the different 10 orders of Knights Radiant in the Stormlight Archive, which
Okay.
doesn't mean anything to you. You haven't read those, but there are 10 orders of people who use magic in this world,
Mm-hmm.
basically. And we made each of them themed to different color sets and inclusions and so on. And after I'd gotten, you know, the job and I was writing for them, I was like, hey, by the way, did you see this that we made? Like, I'm a
do you use a
real
resin
big
3D print?
fan.
Do you use a resin 3D printer to make those,
That's
or
hilarious.
is that
No,
no?
so what we actually I got one right here. So we've got silicon molds,
Look at
Oh,
that!
that's
and
really cool.
then we just pour in a two-part resin,
Uh-huh.
Wow!
and then use a pressure pot.
Oh, look at
Wow.
that!
Oh,
That's
wow.
awesome.
You, sir, are deep in it all.
I was,
I do a bunch of things.
well, I don't know
Very
how you have
cool.
time. You got a family. You got
Here's one of the ones we made.
look at
Oh, that's
that.
lovely. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Jeez.
You're right up there. We've had a couple. There's folks out there like Jim and Michael and now you who I don't know when you sleep. Really. Now I don't know when you sleep because
Yeah,
you got a
because
full-time day
how
job
old are
and
your kids?
So my kids are 12, 10, 8, and 6.
Oh my God. Well, there we go. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm
all great ages. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
right?
just yeah, I you literally you are superhuman. You must you have you don't need to play the Marvel game. You need to be a character in it, seriously,
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
because you are superhuman, my friend. Because with
Oh man.
everything that you're doing and a day job and a family,
Yeah.
it blows my mind
I
how much you are able to accomplish and literally being able to sit down with us for an hour and hour plus now and talk with
yeah.
us about all of this and
This
you
has
know
honestly been a pleasure. Like,
No,
I
thank you
really
so
enjoy
much.
talking about this, and you
Yeah.
two are wonderful to chat with.
No, thank you.
oh
We look, we would love to have you back.
Yeah, I'd love to be
I
back.
mean, yeah,
you
thank
know
you. There's so much we could talk about now and later. I mean, it's just nuts. Yeah.
yeah so
Yeah.
yeah thanks again
And yeah, I'll do a quick thing as well.
yeah
Yeah.
Jason, you're more interested in the science fiction side of it.
Hmm.
Are you familiar with the secret project books that Brandon Sanderson did in the Cosmere?
Mm-mm. No.
So the number one Kickstarter of all time was Oops, Brandon Sanderson wrote a bunch of secret novels.
Yeah.
Um, and two of them
Oh,
are certainly more forward in the timeline.
yeah.
So Yumi and the Nightmare Painter
Okay.
and the Sunlit Man.
Ooh, thank you. All right.
Neither of them really require you to know much more outside of the Cosmere. Like the Sunlit Man will require some things won't make sense. Yumi and the Nightmare Painter is very much a standalone kind of thing,
Okay.
but both of them have much more modern or science fiction elements to them.
Cool. Thank you. I will look into that because you know what hooked me, what brought me into the Sanderson universe was this concept of hard magic, kind of like
Yes.
hard sci-fi. And I was like what I most enjoyed in Mistborn was like I mean there was a ton of science. Like it was all just like
Yeah.
this makes so much sense. Like he's taken fantasy and magic and he's woven it into this world in a way that like you can buy. Like I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
so cool. Oh, that's really cool. I will check those out. Thank you.
Yeah. No problem.
All right. Well, thank you again. We wish you ongoing huge success with everything.
yeah we'll have
Thank you.
we'll have much more to talk about probably when we have you back again because we'll be
Oh yeah.
creeping closer to probably releases
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
and
Stormlight comes out this fall,
Oh man.
and Mistborn comes out fall 2026.
So cool.
Well, we're gonna have you on before then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
While we can still afford to pay our internet bill and not have to buy all the books.
Yeah.
yeah.
And well, I still have a house. So, wow, Meric, we definitely are gonna have you back on again. I
Great
just
deal of fun. Neat guy.
great deal of fun. Just a nice conversation.
Yeah.
Um, with everything that you're doing with live play and everything with the age mechanic, we could have you on just to talk age gaming alone
Yeah.
without everything
Oh,
else.
I mean,
So,
come on. Yeah.
um, so thank you so much again for coming on and taking the time. We obviously with the kids and everything like that. I don't know. Again, you're one of those people, like I said, you're a superhero, being able to do everything you're doing with your day job, everything you're doing with writing for gaming, and then the
Maintain a
stuff,
significant relationship and have kids.
yeah, have kids, and then the stuff you're doing
Yeah.
with
I mean,
with the Cosmere
our
RPG.
kids are older and we gave up on our marriages long ago. No, 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 wait,
Yeah.
scratch that.
And gaming too. I mean, we don't game right now,
This
you
is
know.
true. I mean, I know we always bemoan that, but at the same time, like we're constantly talking about gaming and getting the books that we love and then talking about those. And yeah,
Which speaking of
of
which,
which,
let's head over to the Loon Cafe.
what's on your desk?
So, you're not going to play the sound this week?
I whistled. That's gonna have to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were going to utilize the
I need to get the
Oh,
I'll get the MP3 out of it.
you were testing it
Yeah,
earlier.
that was just a
Okay.
test.
Got it.
Sorry to get you
Okay.
excited for nothing.
Oh man.
I'm gonna leave that in there because
I
hearing
like
your
the
disappointment is good for the
yeah,
audience.
I figured you'd leave this in here. Um so I think I mentioned this in the last episode, but the materials from the spring sale Fallout arrived.
Yeah, yeah, you did. But
And
just briefly.
yeah, and I've been going through it. Um
And
Trent Trent has given his my son has Trent has given his stamp of approval of interest on it.
yeah, that's
Um
cool.
and I do like how they have implemented the 2D20 in this realm. I will say what's
Oh,
interesting,
yeah,
this is like kind of an odd sidebar. The 2D20 dice for for it
yeah.
are a little larger than
Mm-hmm.
the ones for like STA. And so
Aren't the STA Kirk Tunic dice, aren't those a little larger too? Like
not that I'm
the
aware
green
of.
tunic?
No,
Maybe not. Okay. I
no,
thought
they're
there was one that was a little bigger.
I have two sets of those because I like those for
Oh,
whatever reason.
okay.
And I use one of those sets when I would roll with Captain's Log.
So what do you
Um,
think about these? Like how do they like
I haven't rolled with them yet
oh, okay.
because I they're still in the box. They're in the
Oh,
package.
yeah.
Um, but just going through it, it one well three things. One, it has me interested in playing like the old classic Fallout games again, like the video
Cool.
games, but
Mm-hmm.
no
Mm-hmm.
time to do that.
Nope.
Two, it reminds me that I am overdue in finishing the TV series. I'm kind of like halfway through and
Oh
then
yeah.
um, stopped toward the end of last year when I was going through an interview process for a job. And three, it's definitely one of those games where I could see utilizing one of the pre-builts that they have out there, like even one of the starter kit to play at some point, especially if Trent would be interested in doing it
That's cool.
once school is out for him. So, but like I think I alluded to in the last episode, it would have to be after school is finished for him, which would be later next month
Right,
going
right.
into.
Yep.
So,
Same for me.
yeah.
Yep.
So between that and I'll be honest with you again, I have um, you know, it really the talk of hard magic and
Yeah.
everything really lit a fire under me with GURPS. And I think I talked with you this weekend kind of as a sidebar about writing. We had the little
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
back and forth messaging about writing, just
Yep,
generalized writings,
that's right.
some stuff I was alluding to in writing. And I ended up um, just doing a lot of article pulling and all of that related to like world building and doing some writing
Oh,
about um, like and mapping of things related
nice.
to world building. I just got into a knack with that where I didn't necessarily map it out in the context of the game, but just, you know, areas and things I want um ideas and things that I want my adventurers to experience.
Yeah. Oh, I like it.
So,
Ooh,
and that's the
we need
part.
to play GURPS. It's
Yeah, that's
yeah.
and I think
We
I
need to
think I
play in your
even
world.
sent you I even was doing some research about like dice mechanics and I found something about like Savage Worlds versus GURPS.
Yeah,
I think I
that
sent
was
you some.
interesting. That was
I,
cool.
I don't know how I got on it. I was just looking at different dice mechanics based off of the Cosmere verse
Yeah.
um and I just for whatever reason I kind of like the GURPS verse. But what I found interesting is that Gemini, for whatever reason, when I kept asking it, I'm like, give me a good generic role playing system.
Yeah.
It kept throwing me back to Genesis. It really,
Oh, that's
Gemini, and I'm using
interesting.
air quotes,
Yeah.
Gemini likes air quote Genesis a lot
In
because it kept throwing me to that.
interesting.
And I kept telling it, well, I kept Gemini, Genesis, it's becoming difficult to find, provide me some other options. And then it would provide me some
Yeah.
options, and I'd say, well,
Man, I
this,
like that system.
yeah, and it's funny. So um
That's interesting.
I really hope the best. I wish the best for Edge and for that system because I really would like to see it continue.
Oh,
But
me too.
what about you? What's been you are first of all for those which is everybody who's listening can't
Right.
see, you are in a white padded room. I mean your new
Well,
office.
I'm in a yeah, a freshly painted room. So this I yeah, my this I can keep very brief. It's not what's on my desk. It's the fact that after 3 months, I'm sitting at my desk
Mhm.
and and that I have the desk again and bookshelves again as we record, I am 2 days away. Actually, we're 2 days away from the total project completion of our downstairs renovation, the bedroom and bath, just the office and bathroom, and my office is done entirely, other than some touch-up paint in a handful of spots, including a few on the shelf, and so I can't finish putting the books back. To the built-ins, and I can't put any of the RPG stuff back because that's, of
You
course, exactly
can't put
where
the Federation flag back up yet either, can you?
I never had that.
Well, what was behind you? Was it
That was
the
a
United
UN
Nations?
flag.
Oh, it was.
But they've become so remarkably worthless in so many ways that I probably won't hang that again. I digress.
You should get a Federation
I
flag.
really should. So I don't have anything on the walls, as you commented when we logged on. That will happen. Uh, that'll probably happen like next weekend. That'll be the last thing. That'll be easy. But I am just a few days away from having the books all back in here. As Brad knows, I've got a few books in here, and or I will. And so it's just glorious. It's glorious. This is the first day in a few months I've been back in my office. I worked there this morning. We're recording now. It's a
Close the
real improvement.
door, solitude.
I mean, the outgassing from the new carpet is probably going to kill me, but still,
Yeah,
it's totally worth
that's
it.
fine. That's fine.
That's right.
Yeah. You have a window you could open, of course.
I had that open intermittently, like all afternoon and evening when I was in here. Yeah.
What's the plant by the window?
Oh, Amy got me at Trader Joe's. I'm not sure what it is. She picked up a little very classy flowering plant. I'm gonna have a couple. I think I'm gonna add an orchid here, and then out in the egress, that's going to be a potted plant garden.
Nice.
Yeah. So once it's warm enough here in Minnesota, once it's
Hmm.
warm enough, which will be like I'll probably start that like late May.
Yep.
Because it's now the best. It's only one of two south-facing windows we have in the house, and it's the only one where we can put plants. So So
Okay.
I'll have
Are you
light.
sure you're gonna?
Yeah.
Are you sure that you'll be able to? Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. I'm gonna let you keep going. I was gonna say,
Brad, yeah.
are you sure that because it's only one of two south-facing windows, you're actually going to have solitude in there, or are you going to have a lot more visitors because it's a south-facing window, and you're going to have a potted garden in there? Are people
Visitors
gonna
like,
like your family?
oh no, 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 I'm not concerned about that. No, it'll be a lovely change. So that's what, nothing on the desk, just have a desk, which
Hmm.
is very exciting.
Yes.
So yeah. Well, as always, thanks for being with us. Merrick, thanks again. We really thought you were just a lovely human being and creative, to put it mildly. Thank you for wasting your time chatting with us. When Cosmere starts to release, if not before, we really want to have you back. In the meantime, everybody, uh, be well, stay well. We'll see you in a couple weeks.